welcome back everybody to another episode of the CC Football Podcast. Today, not only Craig joins me, but a good friend of mine and also now a good friend of the show, Matt Burke, big Chelsea fan. We had to invite him in because of all the Chelsea news that's going on now.
Lots of Chelsea news.
So Matt, welcome, and Craig, what's up?
Not much. It's been a while since we've had a guest on the show, and we've never had a Chelsea fan on the show. So I'm excited to see how this one goes. Hopefully, it doesn't get too contentious.
No, I don't think it will. We've already established between Liverpool and Chelsea the superior side. So
the third or fourth draw against Liverpool. They came out kept a pen.
Oh, all right. I feel like I'm gonna step in before anything kicks off.
We'll have time.
I do, however, have a surprise game for you guys to play to help decide who is the superior fan.
Oh boy.
You guys ever watch the Sky Sports YouTube channel where they do those lies videos?
No,
I don't think I've seen that.
Okay, so basically what they have it's called lies, and they'll have like just like famous Premier League players play it. Like they had like Trent and Robbo play it, and like Rashford and some other people. And basically the host, i.e. me, gives a category. So let's say obviously the category will be football related, but let's say the category was like fruit or something. Clay, you would go first, and you would say how many fruit you think you can name.
Oh, I have seen that.
Yeah, in 30 seconds, right? So let's say you say like 10, then Matt can either up the number, like say 11, or he can call you a liar and make you do it.
Oh, okay. I like this.
Yeah, and then if he ups it, then it goes back to you, and you can up it or call him a liar.
Let's do it.
I'm excited.
All right.
I'm ready for it.
You guys both.
I'm up against it, so let's see.
You guys both claim to be, diehard fans of your respective teams. So let's start off with a very specific team-related question. Well, actually, let's just make all the questions team-related. The first question is,
how many rounds are we doing?
Probably 2.
Okay.
Current members of the Liverpool and Chelsea squad. Clay, obviously, you can only name Liverpool players. Matt, you can only name Chelsea players.
Okay.
I think you say how many you can.
Okay, I'm gonna guess that I can name 20.
In 30 seconds. 20. Woohoo!
30 seconds.
Oh wait, in 30 seconds. Okay, whoa. Okay.
You thought this was just timeless?
I just thought I had unlimited time. Okay. I'm gonna say 15. I'm gonna say 15.
Wow. Okay, it's still a pretty high number.
That is pretty high. I think you could probably do 15. I can do 16 for sure. I think I could do 16. That's an 11 and then a subs bench. I could definitely do that.
Oh.
Are we also including
very
players?
Very logical.
Are we including players that are currently out on loan? That like
we are not including players that are.
So they have to be currently.
The loan army doesn't count.
They have to be currently at the club. Okay.
Correct, and they have to be registered for
the first team. So I can't rip like a Harvey Vale, little under 21s.
Correct.
Fair enough. Yeah, I could do 16.
Clay.
Oh, are we going back and forth to basically?
Do you think I can do 16 or do you
in
think
30 seconds?
Or do you think you can do 17 and 30?
You got to call him a liar or you got to up it?
I can do 17.
Oh,
dude, that's a lot. I just feel like it's a lot to name that many people in 30 seconds. You have 2 seconds. Less than
2 seconds per person. Call me on it then.
Big decision for Matt.
You know what? I'm gonna back myself. I'm gonna say I can do 18 in 30 seconds.
Whoa!
I think I can. I'm fairly positive that I can do that.
All right, I'm gonna call you out on this one. Let's see it.
Okay.
Let's see it.
Okay,
you have the timer. Hey,
Yeah,
hold your phone up so the people on. Oh, wait, also, shameless plug here. Make sure you guys are following us and subscribing on YouTube. It's just CC Football Podcast, so you can follow along on the time. But it's basically only gonna be 30 seconds, so pretty easy. Greg.
Okay, so Matt, I'm gonna hold it up and I'm gonna start it at 33. Oh shoot, let me unblur my. Let me unblur my background first. But
You
I'm
also
gonna
had
hold it up.
you had the floating hand earlier when you were waving your hand around.
I'm gonna hold it up and I'm gonna start it at 33 seconds, Matt. So you can see 3, 2, 1 countdown and then start when it hits 30.
Okay.
Ready?
I'm ready. Yeah. All right. Mendy, Thiago Silva, Reece James, Azpilicueta, Alonso, Rudiger, Chalobah, Timo Werner, Romelu Lukaku, Hakim Ziyech, Mason Mount, Mateo Kovacic, N'Golo Kante, Jorginho. Oh no! I'm
14,
blanking.
10
I'm
seconds.
blanking.
10 seconds.
Oh no! Kennedy, Kepa, Bettinelli.
Oh,
is that
you said
17?
17.
Yeah, 17.
Wait,
Damn, that was like the right number too. I think
Wow, yeah, you had to go for 18, I guess.
you didn't even. Did you say like who is their third choice keeper?
Bettinelli.
Oh, okay.
That's who it is.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Did you say? I didn't hear him say Pulisic, but I'm sure.
No, I didn't say Pulisic.
Yeah.
I didn't say Pulisic. I didn't say Hudson-Odoi.
The pressure really is like.
That's the thing. Once the clock stops, they all come flooding back.
Yeah, I didn't say Christensen.
All right, so I guess no one wins that one.
Oh, wait.
Did you say what's his name? What's that one defender who's played a couple of games this season?
Sar.
Malang Sarr. I didn't say Malang Sarr.
Yeah, Sarr. Good call. Okay,
Yeah,
that was a good showing though. That was a strong showing.
Yeah, well, I said I could do 17.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You said 17,
and I nailed it.
and then 18 was pushing it.
When you froze at like 13 or 14, I thought you were done.
Yeah,
So-
and then I just ripped like 3 in a row. Yeah, that was good.
Okay.
That was good.
Okay, Matt, here's your chance to come back. We're going to keep it Liverpool Chelsea related because that's the debate you guys are trying to settle right now. And this should be your game, Matt, because you've been a fan for slightly longer than Clay.
Yeah.
What you have to do is name non-current Liverpool or Chelsea players.
Non-current.
So former Liverpool, or just your team, obviously, former Chelsea players. And Clay, you have to name former Liverpool players.
Oh boy.
And Matt, if you win this, which you should want to, then you're going to force me to come up with a tiebreak round. So I'll have to start thinking
Wait,
of that.
did I not win at 7? Wait, I thought I said 17. Right? Isn't that what I said?
No. Clay
said
started with 15.
I
You
said
upped it to 16. Clay said 17. Then you said
I said 18.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I got caught out. Okay. Yes. All right. So I need to come back then.
Yeah. So you need this.
Okay. Okay.
All right. You go first this time.
I can definitely name 10, at least 10 former players.
Okay. Starting nice and easy.
Yeah. Just keep it basic.
10. I can name 40.
You can
No, 30 seconds. Honestly, like I'm trying to think about my historic knowledge, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
like, so for context, I started watching football or like soccer and like following Liverpool really closely within the last like 4 or 5 years. And
most of
those players
still
are
there.
like Liverpool has had a lot of squad continuity within that time.
Yeah.
So I really only know like the legends for Liverpool.
That is true. You should know more than 10 legends.
Okay.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I'll say 11.
I can do 12.
Oh, Matt's confident.
Yeah.
He's confident this round.
I feel pretty good.
All right. 13.
I don't think you can do 13.
All right.
Oh.
I'll put you on the spot this time. So if you beat me, you
Big
beat me.
call.
But
Matt, am I right in assuming that you feel confident that you would be able to do more than 13, but
Yeah.
you're just doubting his ability?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, very strategic.
I think I could name most of like the 04-05 team, probably most of like the Champions League winning team in like 2011, 2012. And then like even like players like Gianfranco Zola and Ruud Gullit, like you know, from the 90s.
The ledges.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That I can definitely name.
Lest we give Clay more time to think of names. I can see his gears.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm buying my time. I'm buying my
He's
time.
turning.
All right, here you go, Clay.
Wait, what do I gotta hit?
Oh my, what?
Wait, am I doing 13?
13. Dude, this guy's
13
playing
is
all the
the number.
games.
Okay.
Dude, I know he's trying to throw us off.
All right. Pepe Reina, Dudek, Stevie G, King Kenny, Michael Owen. I'll say Gini Wijnaldum, Luis Suarez, Alberto Moreno. Good shot there. Ozan Kabak. Let's see. He's a legend. Oh, okay. Oh, wait. Okay. Focus. Okay. Man, the pressure actually kind of gets you.
It does.
Oh my God, no. Oh no, I'm
Oh
stuck.
no!
Fraudulence. That was only like 9 too.
I waited
no?
9. I wasn't
Alana.
even close.
You missed like
Benteke,
Xabi Alonso.
I know. I know. I missed a lot of
Yeah, it's all good.
those players. Like I thought of
Jamie
Xabi
Carragher.
Alonso when I was like thinking
Yeah,
about it in
when
my
you were
head,
thinking.
but I don't know.
Martin Skirtle.
So I guess we
Torre.
both. I guess we both failed.
We did.
Dude, the fact that your second name was Dudek. What?
I mean, Dudek is like
Dudek's good.
He's kind of
We
a
went
cool
to Champions
hero.
League with
no,
him.
it's
Yeah,
fair,
he's a
fair
cool
play.
hero. He's a cool
No,
hero.
I got nothing against Dudek.
Jamie
I just
Carragher.
thought- Yeah,
I also
you'd
thought of
think
Carragher. Yeah.
I just thought you'd think of a few Carragers before you would think of a Dudek.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey, you forgot. Oh shoot, I'm forgetting his name. What's his name? The goalkeeper.
Oh, Karius.
Karius.
I think he's like
Karius.
technically still on the team though.
I think he might be actually. Yeah.
we couldn't sell him. So I
Oh,
think
he's still on Liverpool?
Yeah, I think he is.
Well, he's like loaned out right now. I don't know if is he like still
I
in
have
the
no
squad?
idea. He's kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
He's in
Okay.
Klopp's basement.
Well, hey Matt, very smart, very strategic, and
Yeah,
it
that
paid
was
off.
good. That was good. I think I was good there.
We have
you didn't
so
say
we have to do a
13
tiebreaker
yes.
now. And for the tiebreaker, we're gonna stray into neutral territory. And we're gonna say who can name, and we're gonna do 45 seconds for this one. Who can name more Manchester United players, past, current, and future? Obviously not future, but any Manchester United players, current or past.
Oh geez.
45 seconds.
45 seconds to throw another wrench in the works because you guys don't know how long that is.
All right.
I feel like I should be able to do a lot, but I don't know. All right, you say your number, Clay, and then I'm gonna.
Okay.
Yeah, Clay, you got to go first on this one.
Okay. I'll start with 15.
15.
Yeah.
Big start. That's what we like to
45
see.
seconds and past and present.
And future.
Dude, I don't know if you could do 15.
Call me on it.
Woo!
I got
He's outing
7.
him.
I got 17 current Chelsea players, and
In
you got
30
9.
seconds.
And you got 9 in 30 seconds, to be fair. And you got 9 former Liverpool players, and that's the team you support. So I don't think you could do 15.
All right.
I don't think you could do.
Oh
even
my
if
God.
45
After
even
it.
if 45 seconds, I don't know if you
He's
can.
called him on 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Clay. Your time starts in this time.
De Gea, Dalot, Wan-Bissaka, Harry Maguire, Lindelof, Bailly, Luke Shaw, Alex Telles, Pogba, Bruno, Matic, Fred, McTominay, Ronaldo, Alanga, let's say Rashford, Sancho.
I mean, yeah.
That-
That was
He's done
easy.
it. Oh my God.
I could do. That
You
was
basically
present
named
players.
the current whole squad of Manchester United.
Yeah. Hey, Matt, I don't know if this is, embarrassing or not, but he might have named more Manchester United players in less than 30 seconds than you did Chelsea players in 30 seconds.
To be fair, he named less Liverpool legends.
That is true.
That's
That
true.
is
Then he named current
No.
Manchester United players.
Yeah, no, that is true. That was wow, tight game.
That was impressive.
Very, yeah. I think both players showed their prowess.
Oh,
Matt,
yeah.
especially with the strategy. I've never seen somebody
Yeah.
play that game so
Yeah, he's
strategically.
thinking outside the box there.
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
Exactly. Gotta
All
get
right.
the game.
Yeah, maybe he was just being polite. It's his first time on the show. He wanted
This
to
is
be
true.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is true.
He wants to
This
get
is true.
invited back. Is what he wants.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking, like, how many former like Manchester United players would you name, like Phil Neville, Gary Neville, like Edwin van der Sar, like Ferdinand Vidic, Ashley,
Yeah.
Cole, like all those players.
Oh no, he's naming the whole. He's
Ashley
naming the
Young.
whole
Yeah, the whole like
08 team. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow. Yeah, you can definitely see Matt's longevity. Clay, I have a question though. How do you think your performance would have been affected if you weren't friends with me?
Or was it friends with you?
Yeah.
I definitely would not follow United as much as I do. So I think I would probably would have started at 10 instead of 15.
15.
Yeah.
All right.
But I could
All right,
definitely
well, hey.
also United's a big big side right now. I could name the starting 11 of like pretty much every single big side in the Premier League.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That's
except Brighton. Okay.
I said big side.
Dude, Brighton are massive, man.
All right, let's jump into the recaps. We got a lot to talk about.
All right, yeah, and we're gonna try and be strict with our 2-minute rule this time. 2 minutes per game.
Let's rip it.
All right, let's rip it. First of all, let's go chronologically. So 10 days ago, about Tottenham beat City 3-2. So going into this game, Tottenham had lost 3 in a row, and since then they've lost 2 in a row, including a loss to championship side Middlesbrough. And I mean, this game was absolutely insane. Like, Matt, did you watch the game? Like, it was crazy.
Yeah, no, I saw it. Like, it was kind of a Spurs masterclass in a little bit of a way. Also, Spurs did the double over City this season.
Yeah,
pretty insane to
Very
think
impressive.
about. First game of the season, and then now, this was a cracking game for sure. Harry Kane masterclass.
Yeah, as a Liverpool supporter, obviously, I was definitely pulling for Tottenham, and especially like the difference between a draw and a win for Tottenham was going to be massive for us. And so when City had that last, I think they got a penalty or something. Oh no, yeah, they got a penalty to equalize it like in the 92nd minute or something. I was like, oh no, that sucks. Like, they only drew, and then the Spurs go right down and score. And I mean, it seems that Conte pulled a rabbit out of the hat right now, but like, because of that game and because Liverpool have been winning their games and that they should be winning, the title race is back on now.
It is.
It's very exciting. Craig, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Matt pretty much. Definitely a Conte masterclass. I think he set up perfectly from a tactical perspective. And Spurs, regardless of their manager, they've tended to give City a lot of problems in the last few years, whether that was with Poch for the Champions League or Mourinho last year or this year with Conte. So I don't know. It's an interesting matchup, and that game never, ever disappoints. There's always lots of goals, lots of drama. I think the takeaway for me was that regardless of, like, people talk about like different things like VAR killing the game and stuff, but there's still so much excitement left in the Premier League. So
that was crazy. And you would think that, like, going into the game, people were just writing off Tottenham, saying that they were going to get killed. I mean, and if you look at their record in the past, they had lost 3 games in a row. You would have expected them to lose. Everyone was picking them to lose, but it's the Premier League. Anybody can win, and that's the beauty of it. And now we have a title race on our hands. And I guess on the same day, Liverpool had the opposite result as City, and they won 6-0 in a game that was truly very one-sided. And I think that, like, it was kind of reminiscent of when Liverpool beat I think it was Crystal Palace last year, like 7-0 before Liverpool collapsed and stuff. It was just relentless and ruthless, and I think that they were kind of making their statement to City, like saying, hey, we're knocking at your door. We're not only going to beat Leeds 1 or 2-0, which can be a tough team to play against, even given the injuries and stuff. Even given the injuries, like, their style of play, they can catch you out sometimes. It was a very convincing win.
Yeah, I didn't watch this game particularly, but I did catch up, and I was keeping up with the game on my phone, and I saw that, like, Liverpool put in like 4 goals in like the last 10 minutes of the game, which could come up really big later in the season. But yeah, this game basically like sacked Marcelo Bielsa essentially, like, kind of after that, it seemed like Leeds were ready to move on, and even with the injuries, it really wasn't working this season for him.
Yeah, and that's something that's kind of shocking for me. Like, going into this year, Craig and I had both picked Leeds to finish in the top half of the table, and we expected them to make at least like sustain the level that they had played at last year and not be in this relegation zone, or not in the relegation zone, but like they're near the relegation zone right now, and it's possible they do get relegated. Definitely taking a step back this year, and kind of sad because, I think that Leeds are a good and fun team to have in the Prem.
Yeah, and I think they will stay up, so hopefully they do. So that shouldn't be an issue. That should be pretty much all they're focusing on now.
They got the American.
But yeah, I think for me, what was important for me about the Liverpool game was that they kept a clean sheet, because the defense has seemed a little bit suspect, even though they haven't been conceding goals. So to keep a clean sheet, that'll give them huge confidence going into this big part of the season now. What's next?
Okay, let's jump to the Champions League, where the main game that we're going to talk about is the 1-1 draw between Atleti and Manchester United. And Craig, let's have you start first on this one. I want to hear your thoughts on the latest. I guess we can lump the next two games in together, Atleti and the Watford game. What are your thoughts on the?
I'll set a 4-minute timer.
Yeah, so let's just take a little temperature check, a mood check with all the United supporters out there right now.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm gonna have Matt go first because he seemed like he watched the game and he said something about the game before, which I tended to agree with. I want to see what his thoughts were, a neutral perspective on it before I go into my kind of rant.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in general, United were incredibly poor, and I think it's been pretty indicative this season that they've been just substandard for most of it, whether it was with Ollie or whether it's with Ragnick now. I just think that the chance creation, there was no real movement. It seemed like Ronaldo was dejected, like his just like his facial expressions and all of that. It just didn't seem like United were going to get anything from this game. And I think that they were a bit fortunate with a little bit of a longa brilliance that happened. But just overall incredibly poor against Atleti. And I know that they're a very difficult team to beat, Atletico, but this season, like, they've been letting in goals very, very consistently. And I think that not being able to show your quality against a team like Atletico really kind of speaks volumes to where United is at right now, just at least mentally.
Yeah. And so I will say my reaction on the game is pretty much exactly what you said. So obviously very negative. And I think that I said this to you guys before. I think it's daylight robbery that United came away from that game with 1-1. I mean, United are going to be so happy with that. Coming back home to Old Trafford, they'll feel like they can defend that, especially with no away goals rule. So even Atleti score, they don't get the big advantage. But yeah, I think United will be very happy, and they shouldn't be based on that performance. But the one thing I will say from the positive standpoint, not about that game, but about United in general, I think that the last 5 or 6 games, United have been incredible, or at least for me, to watch from an attacking sense, creating lots of chances going forward, except that one game, which is why it was surprising to me because we haven't been scoring goals, and that's a finishing issue. But it has been much, much better to watch United these last few games under Ralph Rangnick. We've been attacking very fluidly, like getting people into attack. His substitutions have been very attacking. He's not afraid to pull off like 2 defensive midfielders and put on whatever, like Pogba or Rashford, and play with nobody that back there, like Ollie was. And so it's been great to watch. And I do think that, Clay, you and I discussed this. If we were just finishing our chances, United would have some great results in the last 7 or 8 games. Unfortunately, we only have like 3 or 4 good results in those games. And I'm not sure what happened with the Atletico game. Maybe it's because, Matt, like you said, they're a difficult team to play against. Maybe the tactics were different. They expected Atletico to play differently. But yeah, Atletico deserved to win that game. But yeah, moving on to the Watford game, I think that
If I could interject really quickly about the Atletico game before we move on to the Watford one, is that I think that Atleti scoring early was the worst possible thing that could have happened to Manchester United, because Simeone loves to get a lead and then protect it.
Yeah.
And so when they scored within the first, I think it was like the first 10 minutes of the whole like two.
I think it might have been in the 3rd or 4th.
Okay, so it's super early, right? And so then they're allowed to play the type of football that they want to play, especially against big teams like United, where they can sit back, absorb pressure, and then hit United on the counterattack. And that's exactly what they're able to do. So
yeah. No, great point. And then moving to the Watford game, I think I already said it. My biggest takeaway is United have to finish their chances. We did everything right that game. For the first time, we played defensively very, very, very well. Yeah, shocker. Maguire wasn't playing, and we played defensively really well. Lindelof and Varane starting, held down the fort. Super strong. Watford had no chances. We created so many chances. We were so fluid attacking, and then just didn't score any of them, and ended up drawing the game. And it's becoming a similar storyline. Play, we already discussed it with the Middlesbrough game, and then the
I mean, in that game, United had 22 shots and no goals, and only 3 of them were on target also. So just, I think the quality has to improve. And I told you this a week and a half ago when we last recorded, and I think I'll say it again, is that with the type of people and the quality of players that United have, that it'll come, I think. And they just have to like remain. The most dangerous thing is that the players see the results and start losing faith in the process that Ralph's taking them on and down that road, and they start reverting back to their old ways.
Yeah. Actually, one last thing before we move on is because you mentioned it, is that I think it's important that people don't start blaming Ralph, because I just don't think he can't put the ball in the net for these players. I think he's done everything he can do to kind of get them to that point. Now they need to learn how to finish. But yeah, moving on.
The blame should definitely move to Rashford and Bruno, who have been particularly poor in these last few weeks. And even Ronaldo as well. I mean, Ronaldo was on his longest goal drought in his career since like Lisbon, that just speaks volumes about where they're at in the attack.
Yep. Let's move on to a pretty controversial game, and one that could have historic ramifications in terms of who ends up winning the Premier League. And it's the 1-0 City win over Everton. And, I was watching the game thinking, oh, great, like Everton are going to hold on here. 0-0. City in the classic City fashion get their breakthrough goal. It's 1-0. So then I'm like, okay, well, the game's over. City are just going to win. And then I turned off the TV because I was like, all right, I'm done. I want to save my time. And then I see on Twitter a picture of Laporte.
Rodri.
Was it Rodri? Okay, Rodri.
Yeah.
Like handballing the ball in the box. And I was like, oh, Everton got a penalty. But they didn't. It's just absurd. I mean, okay, so that was like pretty ridiculous. I don't know how that was not given a handball. And it's a huge result that City really needed.
Yeah, I think it has huge ramifications on both ends of the table for this one, where Everton are, surprisingly in this kind of battle for relegation, and City are obviously trying to fight to win the title. And where you have, this is essentially a 6-pointer, just kind of in the opposite direction of, where each team is trying to go. I think that it was pretty heinous, and you see it a lot with VAR, and I'm sure we can talk about it when we come up to the Carabao Cup final with Lukaku and that offsides line. Like VAR just kind of consistently gets it wrong to the point where is it really worth having it in the first place? I don't know. Craig, what do you think?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. I don't know what the right answer to that question is, because theoretically, in my mind, if we have technology that can help you get a decision right, why not use it? So I'm very pro VAR, but if we're not getting it right when it's so obvious, then I don't know what to do. The only thing I will add is, I agree that it's completely heinous error, and that's huge ramifications for Everton, City, and even teams like Liverpool. But Clay knows I always say this, and this is regardless of, I say it for Liverpool, for City, for United, whoever the team is. It happens. The great teams always seem to get lucky. The teams every game, and then if Everton end up going down, I think that people obviously will look at this, but there's a lot more to look at than just this decision. And at the end of the day, I said this when United lost to Middlesbrough in the cup final when they scored off an obvious handball that the referee said after it was a handball. It's the same thing. United it was in their own hands, especially in that game because we're playing Middlesbrough. I understand it's different with Everton. It's in United's own hands. We missed all those chances. We can't sit around complaining about the referees after that. Definitely the referees need to be addressed, and I don't know what's going on with the VAR. But yeah, good teams tend to get lucky. Liverpool did a lot when they won the Premier League, and that's because they were a great team, one of the best in Europe that year.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I think that, like Matt said, having that type of impact on both ends of the table, like this game was very important for both teams, and a point versus City for Everton, given the position they're at, could have maybe saved their season, or kept them survive. So we'll see. Maybe they'll go down. That would be crazy.
Everton are not too big to go down.
They're not
too big.
No one's too big to go down.
Let's move on to the Carabao Cup final. And this is going to be the last game that we're going to talk about. And so, man, what a game. That game was insane.
I'm gonna give 4 minutes for this one.
Okay,
it seems like a big game.
It warrants it.
We have a lot to hash out here, and I really want to say to address that at the beginning. Like, I had always written off the Carabao Cup as a meaningless competition since the very, very beginning, since I started following football, and I understood why Klopp used to always punt and play his under 14s in the games, because ultimately to me it didn't matter. But seeing a final like that made me care about the FA Cup game today and all like the other like meaningless like smaller trophies, you know, like I don't know, that game was crazy. It was so much fun to watch. Probably the best 0-0 draw that I've watched. I can't remember watching. Matt, what are your thoughts on it? And yeah, give me your overall impressions.
Yeah, I think you absolutely hit it, right, hit the nail on the head with that. I think in a lot of ways, like that game was just proof to why we love football. Like it's not about the scoreline always, but it's just about how the game flows, how these chances happen, whether the game is open. And like a game like that, I mean, even Antonio Conte spoke about it in his presser after the game happened, that he just had to give credit for it because of how exceptional of a game that was. And I think that like, obviously there were a whole lot of offsides decisions, and it seemed like no matter, everybody was trying to score and nobody could put it in the back of the net.
The game could have been 4.
And if they did put it in the back of the net, then the referees would make sure that it didn't count.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Like, the ball was in the back of the net, I think 4 times, and 3 for Chelsea and 1 for Liverpool, and all of them got rolled off sides. Like there were sitters that were missed on both sides of the ball. There was a red card shout for Keita that I think honestly could have been a red card.
I think it probably should have been, considering that Chalobah literally got stitches at halftime. He got 6 stitches in his leg because of how high the challenge was and how like high the boot was. And like obviously it's it's one of those 50-50 balls, but it was like there was that just proved to how much was happening in this.
Yeah,
we've seen it given before.
We've seen that game before.
Far less given.
And when I saw that challenge, I was like, oh boy, we could be in trouble here. Naby could be in trouble. And let's say, to be fair, Naby wasn't even supposed to start that game. Thiago had gotten injured in warm-ups, which is a huge blow for Liverpool. And when I heard that news, I was pretty devastated, not only for Liverpool, but also for Thiago, who's really struggled to stay fit this year. And it's really sad because, as I said on our Valentine's Day episode, that he's my crush because he's so fun to watch, and like Liverpool plays so well when he's when they're orchestrating the game. But
wait,
yeah.
Oh, sorry, you finished.
No, I was finishing my thought there. What's up?
Yeah, well, apologies for your crush. Hate to see you heartbroken like that. But
okay.
Oh, by the way, we'll get to this after. Actually, it was also Clay's birthday a few days ago, so everyone on the podcast, make sure to comment and wish him happy birthday. Come to our Twitter, leave some comments at Clay Wright or something like that. Sorry, but what I was gonna say is the main part of the main event that I would like to talk about, to Matt specifically, but then also Clay, you can chime in, is the Kepa substitution. Has worked before, to be fair, and it's also not worked before, but that was not by the manager's choice. That was by Kepa's choice.
Well, to be fair, we won that penalty shootout when he tried to.
That is true. It has worked. Correct. What did you make of that?
I mean, I think it's one of those things where no matter what, like Tuchel will obviously take responsibility for it because it is, in the end of the day, the manager's decision. I think, if Kepa scores it or saves one of those penalties before, like maybe that Van Dijk penalty where he could have maybe gotten a little bit quicker, but it was lashed. Everybody would be praising Kepa and praising Tuchel. And I think in the end of the day, it's just one of those things that happen in football where, like you make these decisions and it could work and it could pay off and it might not pay off. And this case, it didn't pay off. And a lot of people were clowning Kepa and definitely, kicking him while he was down. But I think in general, I was pretty pleased with the support that it looked like, it's win together, lose together. And I think that together they understood that no matter what, like Chelsea are going to lose as a team. So I didn't mind it. Obviously, Mendy, one of the best goalkeepers in the world. He's not great at penalty shootouts, even though he did win one for the AFCON. But I just think that he was pretty. It was a decision, and I can't hate neither Kepa nor Tuchel for it. It happened.
Yeah, I just kind of want to say it. I didn't really. To me, this is kind of equivalent to when Southgate subbed on a bunch of I think it was 2 players at the end of the Euros.
Saka and
Sancho. They got subbed on with like a minute left in the game or in like extra time, added time, and then they were just subbed on purely for the purpose of taking a penalty. I think that's pretty equivalent to what Kepa had to do. He got subbed on for saving the penalties. It's like the exact same thing where he wasn't in the flow of the game. especially given the fact that Mendy had such an exceptional game and had made so many incredible saves, and the fact that he had just won a penalty shootout in a major tournament with Senegal. To me, I understand that, yeah, like statistically, Kepa might have a better penalty saving record, but just given the flow of the game and how frantic it is and how much pressure there was in that moment, that I kind of would have, if I was Tuchel, stuck with Mendy and left Kepa on the bench. I think. Sorry, my poster just fell down in my room. I just think that also for his own sake, like no one would have, if Mendy didn't save any penalties and then skied the ball over the bar, no one would have been like, oh, why didn't you sub on Kepa? But now because he subbed on Kepa, I think that was like a decision that people are starting to like nitpick and get at Tuchel about.
I honestly think some people might, to be honest. Kepa has been, it was prepared that if it ever got to penalties, that Kepa would be the one who would be in the shootout.
I understand that. And
it's almost like a penalty specialist, like Jorginho, like Jorginho is always going to take our penalties, and like sometimes he'll miss, sometimes he'll make it, which he does more often than not. But like, if that's the manager's decision and he's the dedicated guy, it's kind of like difficult to.
Yeah, if it's been established that before the game that this was going to happen, if the game reaches that stage, then I understand Tuchel putting him in. But from a Kepa's perspective, like he got it subbed on to do one thing, which is save penalties. He didn't save any of them. And then when it came to scoring a penalty, and then he like literally did as poor as possible, and like it's impossible to do any worse than he did.
Well, so here's what and I know we're way over our 5 minutes for that game, but the thing here's what I think about it is, whatever, like Matt said, it's it's a decision that has to be made, and I always say, like, if it works, as you said, Matt, if it works, then Tuchel's like a hero, and if it doesn't, then he's a villain. But that's at the end of the day, that's the managerial job. But what my thing is, Clay, remember when we were watching the Euro finals together, and I'm sure you were watching it as well, Matt. And the England-Italy penalty shootout happened, and they brought on like Rashford and Sancho, and like the last like 30 seconds of the game, they didn't even have a kick of the ball before the penalty, and of course they missed. And that's something that I've always said, and a lot of people say, is like you can't just expect somebody to sit out 120 minutes, actually, usually in the case of a penalty shootout, not do anything, just sitting on the bench, and then come on and amidst all the pressure, just score a penalty. Why doesn't that logic also go for goalkeepers? I mean, he's also just been sitting there for however long, and he's expected to just come up and save, and then potentially, which did end up happening, also then score a penalty, which is like double the work of what Rashford and Sancho had to do. So that's probably the other side to it, but I see both sides. The thing is, though, Matt, do you think, let's say Chelsea make it to the Champions League final and Mendy start now, Kepa, what is it now? Kepa's lost twice when he's come on to have his penalty shootouts, against City, where he refused to come off, and then against Liverpool. Do you think if this goes to the Champions League final or semifinal goes to shootouts, do you think Tuchel makes the same decision, or do you think he keeps Mendy on?
Honestly, I'm not entirely sure. I will say that I do think that Kepa is significantly better at penalty stopping than Mendy is. Yeah, because Mendy tends to move quite early, and so when you move early in a penalty shootout, these players can just put it the other way for at least the first 5. So I think that it'll definitely be a decision that gets made. But I know Tuchel always tends to stick to his guns, and he does have faith and he has trust in Kepa. Kepa played really well while Mendy was at AFCON, and so
that's true.
I think it'll have to be seen what the levels of preparation are by the final. But he's a man manager. He backs his men, but like if you don't perform, you can get dropped. And so that is something that for sure he'll think about, and it'll stick in his head. But, I think his overall support of Kepa in general has been overall positive, and this is definitely the best he's been since he signed for Chelsea for like $72 million or pounds.
It was the one thing we can say is it was a brilliant penalty shootout to watch. The best we've seen since Manchester United Villarreal in the Europa League final, which also ended with the Spanish goalkeeper missing the 11th kick to lose the game. But no, hey, Matt, at least now you know how I felt. Clay, maybe he'll find out sometime soon, but
hopefully not.
from the neutral perspective, it's always thrilling to watch.
Yeah,
You
it was a great game. I saw that. I
penalty
saw a tweet that said that it was the most viewed Carabao Cup final in history, which not surprising.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
And it's first Klopp's domestic cup.
Klopp's first domestic cup. Yeah. And it's good for Liverpool to, it's not a major trophy, but good to break
It's
the
always
ice.
good to win
It's always
silverware.
good to break the ice, and the first trophy up for grabs and for all the English teams. I guess you said a Club World Cup, but like for all of the English teams that can possibly win it. Like it's good to grab that first one and get your foot in the door. The quadruple is still alive. But some other news that's been kind of dominating the football world for the last probably 24 or 48 hours is Chelsea is getting sold. And this is a big reason why we brought you on the show here today, Matt, is because we were talking in our group text and our group me about it. And I just want to hear your thoughts on it, because, Chelsea have a good ownership situation. They had one in terms of financial backing and stuff. And like, what do you expect to see? And like, what is your gut reaction to this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing obviously to say is that like clearly, this is happening for a reason. Obviously, the atrocities in Ukraine have been something that has put all Russian leadership under, fire, even with a club like Everton kind of having a similar situation. And I just think that it was something that probably had to happen, but I think it is sad to see it end this way. When Abramovich took over, in the mid 2000s, and he took over because he loved the club and he wanted to make this club great. And I think that it's hard to find owners that want to do that, like you might have the Saudis or people or the princes of Qatar who kind of have that same vision, and they have that same like money and capability to do it in a more modern game. Whereas Abramovich was coming into, a game that really transfers were not as big as they are now. And so I'm a little concerned, and honestly, I'm a little sad. I think that Abramovich, just taking the politics out of it, was one of the best owners that you could ever have. Somebody that's always willing to back his club over anybody, over players, over managers. It comes club first. And I think that to find another owner like that is going to be very, very difficult. And honestly, I'm a little concerned moving forward with the outlook of Chelsea, what our leadership, what our ownership is going to look like. People in important places that could get replaced as new owners come in, and potentially changing the culture of the club. Like Chelsea was a very solid team before Abramovich took it over, but they became phenomenal, and they became, one of the best teams in England, and potentially, in my opinion, the best team in London. And so I think that will be hard to replicate no matter who it is. And you have to look at, the Kroenkes or even the Glazers, or even like Fenway Sports Group for Liverpool. Like these are all ownerships where they've kind of faltered a bit, other than Liverpool, but that you could almost attribute to how well run the club like Liverpool is. But like, like Fenway Sports Group, like they were willing to sell Luis Suarez, who was the best striker in the world, probably one of the best strikers of all time. And they were selling him at his peak for kind of nothing, realistically, for the value of the player. And so, yeah, I'm a little concerned, but, you never know in the end of the day. And obviously my love goes out to Roman Abramovich. I love him. I think that he's been a phenomenal servant to Chelsea, and he's for sure proper Chelsea, no matter where he is.
Yeah, I think that is definitely, like you said, it's going to be difficult to replace and find a similar ownership, especially now if you see like recent acquisitions or semi-recent acquisitions of major clubs. Like Liverpool had this sale semi-recently, and you can see how these newer owners are tending towards running these clubs like a business, and not as much as more of like putting the club's success first, and they're trying to make money out of it. Like Manchester United's a prime example of that. However, it's not impossible to succeed with owners of that, like with those priorities. Like you see that in Liverpool, like with the proper structure within the club and with a great manager and great recruitment, you can still succeed by not having to splash so much money and be more, I guess, prudent with your decisions, and it does definitely make it more difficult. But I do think that Chelsea have good recruitment. They have a great manager in Tuchel, so at least in the short term, they should be set up, and they have a great squad right now, which is even the most important. So I think that in the short term, they should be fine. It just comes with, it'll be interesting to see who or like which group or which like hedge fund steps up to conglomerate to buy the club, and how. And then once we hear some names that start getting floated around, I heard like Conor McGregor was interested in it or something. Like, I don't know. I just think that once we hear some names start floating around, we can start seeing.
I've seen the co-owner of the Dodgers and this 84-year-old, I want to say Swede. He might be Polish. They have been the rumored like favorites to take over the club. And, knowing the Dodgers and knowing how the Dodgers run their organization, it does make me a little bit hopeful. But, Abramovich today in his statement said that he does not want any money from Chelsea. He's forgiving $1.5 billion or 1.5 billion pounds of debt that, he injected into the club, because it was never about business. And I think it's hard to remove business from modern businessmen nowadays. This was out of pure passion. And, maybe somebody will passionately buy the club. Think about how Eck wanted to buy Arsenal, the owner and founder of Spotify. He wanted to buy Arsenal because he loves the club and he's a fan of the club. And all Arsenal fans would have loved that, because that's somebody that would have put the club over his own funds no matter what, So that's, I think, the most concerning part. But you're right. Chelsea do have a great infrastructure, and it'll be interesting to see moving forward how that will look for the future, the next 10 years, as opposed to these like next couple.
Yeah, I think also one important difference is that like you said, Chelsea kind of became big in the more recent football history, whereas a team like United or Liverpool, that they have like the ownership has changed hands a couple of times, like semi-recently. And the fact that like for Chelsea, it's mainly the culture of like club coming first is instilled by the ownership, by their ruthlessness and player transfers and managerial changes and stuff. And I think from like Liverpool and United, the way that like those clubs are different is that the fans are the people who implement that type of club first mentality, because the club has been so popular for so long that it's like in the culture of the club to be competitive and stuff like that. Whereas for Chelsea, it's more of like, I'm not saying that like Chelsea, I just has a different culture in terms of like competitiveness and ruthlessness. I think that for better or for worse, like the fans for United and Liverpool demand a lot, and same with Chelsea, but the ownership doesn't have to do as much for Liverpool and United as it does for Chelsea. So it'll be very interesting to see what path they go down.
Yeah. I mean, Roberto Di Matteo got fired after winning the Champions League, but then, we won the league after that. So it's like, that's just kind of how Chelsea's been run, where, managers get fired. Lampard gets fired, Chelsea legend, probably one of the greatest Chelsea players of all time. And he gets fired mid-season. We win the Champions League that same season. So it'll be interesting to see. I think, obviously, I still love Chelsea. I always will. And I'm looking forward to this new ownership, and we'll see what happens.
It'll take time too.
It's bittersweet. We'll always love Roman. I don't think there's a single Chelsea fan that doesn't love Abramovich for what he's done for the club, whether they're a new fan or whether they've been following since the 80s and the 70s. I think there's all that appreciation. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see for sure.
Greg, there's a big game coming up on Sunday. I'm going to be the biggest Manchester United supporter in all of Nashville.
It's a bigger game for you than it is for me, honestly.
Whoa, that's not true. You guys are still fighting for something.
It is.
Have you already given up on top?
No. Hey, no. Don't worry. I'm fighting for a lot, but I still feel like it's a bigger game for you personally, not all Liverpool fans. You're going to be very invested in this. You need to win this title.
We need to. We don't need to. We already won silverware this year. So, That way it's all far back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a big game.
No,
you
I'm
guys
just
don't
playing.
know.
Obviously, it's a huge deal for me. Not only even if we were comfortably mid-table with nothing to fight for, no chance of relegation, no chance to top four, I think it would still be a bigger game for Manchester United fans than anyone else, regardless of the impact of the game, because it's the Manchester derby. And while 15 years ago, it might not have actually mattered that much, it really does now. Because things have completely flipped on their head. It's not even like things have just evened out and now it's like a hotly contested derby. Things have flipped on their heads and City are winning everything and United haven't won in 5 years now. I haven't won a trophy. So it's huge. And the one thing I'll say about derbies, I say about every derby, is that anything can happen in a derby. City should be favorites because they're maybe 300 times better than United currently are. But it's a derby game. We beat City under Ollie, we beat City a few times. Pep had the worst record against Ollie that he had against any other manager that he played against. So you never know what can happen.
Too cool.
And that's good news for you.
Okay, Craig, you are Ralph Ragnick. Is it Ragnick?
Yeah, Ralph Ragnick.
Ragnick. I can't really say his name that well. But okay, you're Ralph. And who are you putting to start the game on Sunday? Who is your starting 11? Because I think that he's been shuffling around a lot. So let's hear who you would start.
If Harry Maguire starts the game, I'm ripping apart all my Manchester United jerseys. Not because I don't like Harry Maguire.
You will not do that.
I like Harry Maguire a lot. And I really hope for I hope, and I think he does there is a good defender in there. We've seen it before. We saw it last year. We saw it at the Euros. He can be a very good defender. And I hope that we get to see that defender again. So it's not that I don't like him, but there is no player, in my opinion, that should have some divine right to get chances over and over and over again if they're not performing. I mean, I agree with people who say Harry Maguire is a good defender. I think there is talent in there. But this entire season, he's been trying to think of a PG-13 word. He's just been bad. He's been crap. And Ollie kept playing him, and now Rangnick keeps playing him, and it's just he keeps making mistakes. And those mistakes, when you're a center back, a mistake costs you a goal. If you're a midfielder or a forward, a mistake, costs you a missed opportunity or something, but it doesn't put you down 1-0 or 2-0. And so it's huge and so last game, granted it was against Watford, but we played Lindelof and Varane, which everyone was very happy about. And I think the backline looked very solid and looked very secure. And so why change something that's not broken? He's dropped Ronaldo. He's dropped Bruno. He's dropped Pogba, Rashford, Sancho, Luke Shaw, Alex Wan-Bissaka. If you told anyone, not just Manchester United fans, even either of the two of you guys before the season started, that Luke Shaw would be dropped for Alex Telles and Wan-Bissaka would be dropped for Diogo Dalot, who was not even in England at the time this season, you guys would not believe it. So Ralph he's dropped everyone that's not been performing. And so Harry Maguire should be, privy to the same treatment. So hopefully it wasn't just like resting him. Hopefully he was dropping him. And until Lindelof or Varane messes up, he stays on the bench. That's just my opinion for things to be fair and for United's sake until Harry Maguire can regain his confidence. I realize I've only talked about 2 out of the 11 positions. I'll answer the rest of your question now. And De Gea in goal because he's been our best player this entire season. It's not even close. Honestly, I would start Alex Telles and Diogo Dalot because I don't think either of them have done anything to lose that spot. Wan-Bissaka was good when he played recently, but Luke Shaw hasn't. Even when he got the spot back recently, he's not shown really anything that. Alex Telles is very important from set pieces, corners, free kicks, even penalties. So I think it's important. I would start them too, but I'm not going to die on that hill. I don't really care who starts at outside back. I think our midfield needs to be Pogba, Matic, and Bruno. And I think Pogba and Bruno hopefully pick themselves, especially Bruno's been missing chances, but apart from his missing goal scoring opportunities, he's still been the same as he has been with creating chances. He's still the top creator in the Premier League, and he creates so many chances every game. He's integral. Pogba's been brilliant since he's come back from injury, and Matic was phenomenal in that last game against Watford. He's what we've been looking for in a holding midfielder. Picking the ball up, making important tackles, spraying huge diagonal passes, pinpoint passes, driving up with the ball. And yeah, he's getting old. I don't know if he can do it the whole season. So yes, we still need a new holding midfielder. But in that game, I think he proved what I've been saying, is that he is better than McTominay and Fred, even if it's only, for a couple games. I'm not saying he can play the whole season more than any of them can. But this game, I would start him. He's got so much experience. So McTominay or Matic, Pogba, Bruno, and then up top, you have to start Ronaldo. He's been horrendous recently, but big games this is what he lives for. He's built a career on scoring when it matters most. You can never take him off. And Cavani, I mean, he's been MIA anyways, and so I would put Ronaldo and then Sancho and Elanga. I don't think Rashford deserves to be in there, and Sancho has been very, very good recently. And Elanga, I mean, I think we all know he deserves to start. So that would be my starting 11. Would you guys change anything in there?
I would consider Rashford, and maybe instead of Sancho, not based on merit, but based on the way that the game is going to go, is that City are going to dominate the ball and United will have to hit on the counter, and that's where a ball over the top to Rashford can be deadly. But
that's a great point. That might happen. Dan James, Ollie started Dan James every time we played Manchester City, and he was hugely influential just because he was so fast. He would get the ball out every single time. That's a great point.
Yeah, so I just think that tactically that might be the way. But like you said, Rashford doesn't really, based on performance, my fantasy team knows this. He doesn't deserve to start. And honestly, I think that I mean Bruno doesn't really either. So, but you got to play your big players in the big games, especially when you don't really have a competitive player that could play the backup. You're not going to drop Bruno just to drop him. You have to have someone else that could take the spot, especially versus Manchester City. So yeah, let's go around rapid fire and give a score prediction, and then we'll call it a day. How does that sound?
Sounds good to me.
All right, Burke, let's let you start.
I'm gonna go with 4-1 City. I think they're gonna score goals.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm going for the bold prediction here.
I might be the bias in me, but City haven't been that convincing since, I guess, for the last few games. Like, they weren't even that convincing versus, I think they played like Plymouth or Portsmouth today.
Yeah.
They only won 2-0. And like you said, United have something magical in a Manchester derby. Maybe I'm gonna go with a 2-2 draw, and I'm gonna call it a Harry Maguire header in the 90th minute.
That's definitely not happening.
I think a draw is actually a pretty good prediction. I mean, obviously, I want United to win, and I think there's a chance of them winning just because it's a derby. But just because City are, I mean, talk about their firepower. I think if Lindelof and Varane start, United have a chance of drawing. I'm gonna say a 1-1 draw, 0-0 or 1-1 draw. I think there's not going to be that many goals in the game. If Maguire starts, 4-1. But
yeah, but we'll all be tuning in, and hopefully my prediction is right. So, or actually, hopefully my prediction is wrong, and that United win. So, but anyways, thanks Matt for coming on the show. I'm sure we will have you on again soon, and it was great time, and we'll catch you guys next time.